It's easy to get overwhelmed by all the different essays you have to write for college applications. I mean, just a single school can have up to 1 to 3 supplemental essays on top of your personal statements. With a balanced school list of 8 to 12 schools, you're looking at dozens of college essays within just a few months. But it doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Yesh, and welcome back to College Vine. Today we're going to talk about the most common types of essays you will encounter during your admissions journey. Just knowing these categories can help you significantly reduce the time it takes to write individual essays and the total amount of time you spend on applications. Most college application prompts fall under one of the following categories or archetypes: academic interests, cultural values and diversity, extracurricular interests, and impact on your community. If you know what the different archetypes are and can craft a winning essay for each one, you'll find yourself being able to reuse your essays for various prompts, with some tweaks for each school, of course. So, without further ado, let's get started. Archetype number 1, the academic interest essay. Academic interest essays ask you to write about the subject or topics that interest you most, sometimes in relation to your intended major. Here's a couple of examples from actual colleges. Bucknell asks, please explain your interest in your first choice major, while MIT asks you to pick a particular major offered by MIT and why it appeals to you. If you look closely, you'll see that both prompts are basically asking you the same thing. Bucknell wants you to explain your choice of major, while MIT asks you your plan to pursue it. When you see a prompt like this, you should immediately begin thinking about your intended major, and particularly the journey that led you to decide on it. Ask yourself how you would describe your feelings and state of mind when studying it, compared to other subjects. In short, what makes this major special? These answers should help you explain your choice of major. A really good essay, though, will also draw upon experiences you've had, both inside and especially outside the classroom, to help illustrate these answers and make them sound more genuine. If the question asks about your career, you can extend to that as well. Basically, how does working with this subject make you feel fulfilled? Why are you considering spending so much of your life on it? Just make sure not to mention things like money or prestige. Answering with these can make you seem a little less interesting as a candidate. Lastly, you may have noticed how MIT asked you to discuss how your major relates to that specific college. This is part of what we call the why school essay combined with the why major essay. A why school essay is a little different than the other archetypes because it requires some research specific to that college. You can't just switch out the nouns in a why Wellesley essay for a why Florida State essay. Admissions officers will notice, and they probably won't be amused. You can borrow some of the why major stuff, but otherwise you should set aside some time to research and write for these schools in particular, which should be easier with the time you've saved from using the other archetypes. Now for prompt archetype number 2, culture, values, and diversity. Many colleges give prompts that ask you to talk about your background, culture, and the communities that have shaped you. Sometimes they will add in an additional component that asks you to discuss how you would bring diversity to the campus. Here are some examples. Rice asks, what personal perspectives would you contribute to life at Rice? Referencing how the college values unique life experiences and cultural traditions. Mount Union wants to know what values you cherish and how you've demonstrated them through the choices you've made. Notice how Rice added in that phrase about unique life experiences and cultural traditions. Essentially, these prompts are asking you to explain how you contribute to the school's diversity. This can obviously be an ethnic, racial, or gender sexual identity, but it can also be a community based on experiences that are unique to you. For example, you can be in a community with people who share a disability, or a group centered around a hobby like crocheting. Just make sure you pick a community or identity that is significant enough to you that you can talk about it, how it has shaped your values and identity. Once you have some ideas, ask yourself questions similar to those you used for the academic interest archetype. What emotions do you associate with this aspect of your identity? What are some memorable experiences you could write about? How have you personally grown from being in this community? How have you experienced any challenges or developed any skills from it? Through these questions, you should be able to outline some formative experiences that could be the basis of your personal narrative. Then you can start crafting your essay around this hook. Okay, on to archetype number 3, the extracurricular essay. This prompt type is, as you probably guessed, all about your extracurriculars. The schools you're applying to should already know what that list looks like from your Common App, but this is your opportunity to do a deep dive into an activity you particularly care about. Here are some examples from Davidson College and MIT. As you see, they are usually pretty straightforward. It should be fairly easy to think of a topic for this one. Most of you will already have one activity that you've dedicated way more time to than the rest, or one which is so much more personal to you than others. This is also a great time to shed light on your spike if you have one. You can learn more about spikes in this video. Once you've chosen your activity, go through the standard questions about why you enjoy it, and how you feel when doing it. Try to pinpoint a breakthrough moment that shows personal growth that you can use as an engaging anecdote. You'll want to add a narrative with some comparison between when you first started doing the activity and today. Basically, how has this activity shaped you and how you see the world? And finally, archetype number 4, impact on community. Colleges want to see applicants who they think will contribute to the student body. and eventually the world by being successful in their future. There's no better way for you to demonstrate that kind of initiative than by already having shown you've impacted a community that you're currently a part of. For example, Texas A&M asks you to describe a time when you made a meaningful and selfless contribution to others. Barnard notes that students have a reputation for being active in their community, asks how you've done that so far, and how you continue to contribute to your community at Barnard. The best case scenario will be you already having some obvious deep involvement in community service work. If that's you, great. You can treat this prompt more or less like you would an extracurricular essay. If that's not you, don't worry. You'll just have to dig a little bit deeper, think of a situation where you showed kindness, generosity, or selflessness. It should be enough to think about deeply, so maybe not the time you helped a turtle across the street. And it shouldn't look like something you just did to check off a community service requirement, like spending a week with Habitat for Humanity. Once you've picked your community service story, write about the values that motivated you and impact you had on others. You'll want to include some reflection on what you learned, how it made you feel, and anything you didn't expect when you started. And that's it, the 4 main types of essays you'll have to write for college. Your supplemental essays and even your personal statement should all be variations on these 4 archetypes. Once you have one strong essay planned out for each of these categories, you can then just tweak them to make each school's word count, as well as a specific wording for each prompt. Just make sure there's no overlap. If you wrote about an extracurricular activity for your personal statement, you'll need to write about a different activity if a school also has an extracurricular supplemental prompt. We call this treating your essay like a portfolio. You'll want to set up your archetypes so that the essays you send to any particular school each convey a different, complementary side of your personality and interests. There's a lot more to talk about, but we hope this video helped make all of those essays look a little bit more manageable. If you want more tips for writing, check out our blogs for comprehensive guides and all the essay types we mentioned. You can also head over to collegevine.com for live essay walkthroughs, community forums, and all of your other admissions related needs. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please share to like and subscribe below to keep up to date with all of our upcoming content. Thanks for watching and see you again next time.